feeling of watching both 8.0 Fanfest has so far been almost unlike any other. It's all incredibly exciting, and I imagine we still only know the surface of what's to come in Final Fantasy XIV Evercold. There was so much information in the 2 hours 15 minutes of the keynote, I'm still processing it, and the announcements have only built onto the hype that was left from the North American Fanfest. Let's look through the keynote announcements, and if you'd like to support what I do here on the channel, please subscribe and leave a comment about what you're most excited for. And yes, there was mention of the butt slider. To kick things off, we've got a new extended trailer for Evercold. As much as this was expected as per Fanfest tradition, what we maybe didn't expect was new characters to play such a seemingly prevalent role. 2 new characters stole the show, of the trailer at least. One, a young Nikite, displaying an activity that most couldn't quite place, making people wonder if this is a hint towards the physical range job we're expecting to find out in Tokyo, if not the job itself. The other character, a Rogden in appearance, announced something we all knew was coming, the new tank job. Demolishing enemies with dual gun shields, this was the very first look at the class that would later be revealed as Bastion. It was at the North American Fanfest that we first learnt about the arcane giants, but as one of the final moments of the new footage in the trailer, one appears quickly reaching the heights that people have fled to. Of course, Yoshi P walked out in a cosplay of our new tank, gun shields and all, giving us a reminder that the game is moving away from the Hydaelyn and Zodiac story and into what's being called the Godless Realm Saga, which we're kicking off as a full expansion by travelling to the Fourth, a shard ravaged by ice, forcing people into the skies. We were formally introduced to our new tank, Bastion, with a trailer. Bastion uses a mix of ranged attacks as we'd expect from a job with guns, but this switches up. The gun shields, known as Skiltborg, rotate to the ends with a trident-esque fixture to showcase more of a brawling style. Ultimately, the design of Bastion and its artifact gear, as it was put in the keynote, is a blend of high fantasy and mechanical aesthetics. We found out last Fanfest that this would be a main tank using the new split of the tanking role, and in being a new job, Bastion will only have evolved mode combat. It will start at level 90 and be unlocked in Limsa Lominsa. Its concept is as follows. Located in the vast expanse of the Northern Empty, Iceland has long been protected by indomitable bastions, heritors of the ancient martial techniques. Sorry, warriors. It's said that no raider's axe can penetrate a bastion's hulking Skiltborg, and one would be foolish to try. But these shape-changing great shields, ethereal artillery has brought a swift end to many a marauder. Of course, the Skiltborg also offered protection for its wielder and their allies, in the form of defensive and curative boons, as we'd expect from a tank. The reveal of our second job for Evercold will take place at Tokyo Fanfest later this year. Taking a closer look at the world of the Fourth, we were introduced to the realm ships. Primarily introducing us to 2 of 5, trailers were featured for the realm ship of water, Naglfar, and the realm ship of fire, Ringhorni. Naglfar is incredibly picturesque, immediately making people connect with ideas of Vikings and Norse mythology. Expansive plains, huge lakes, and stunning architecture were a constant. Multiple times, trailers were accompanied by new music. And this was the first instance of this. There was also talk of the massive crystals, arc crystals, serving a purpose on each realm ship, but also being integral for the story. No hints were given though. Instead of hopping to the next realm ship, we were brought to talk of a player town that has been teased before. Artwork was shared of Falgartha within Naglfar. But this time, we were also presented with a trailer of the town, not without Yoshi P making a point about how the music being played in the trailer would be new music, but not the music for this area. Yoshi P decided a placeholder just wouldn't work, so Soken worked his magic for a track overnight. Again, a trailer filled with breathtaking architectural work. It's safe to say I'm a big fan. Next up is Ringhorni, the realm ship of fire. A deep contrast from Naglfar, a seemingly monstrous airship of cogs, almost looking like a city in itself from afar in its concept art. The trailer delivered steampunkish imagery and warm autumnal tones. Cogs, gears and pipes in almost every scene, the dark metal contrasted by rivers of molten glow, again with new music. It's clear just from the contrast in these 2 airships we'll be experiencing a variety of settings to explore. It's even been confirmed that the field size is either going to be the same as we've had in the game already, or sometimes even larger, despite being confined to an airship. Snippets of artwork for all 5 realm ships were shown off before moving to system changes for Evercold. The first announcement was unexpected. Evercold will be playing with a larger scale branching narrative. We've had branching narratives in pretty much every previous expansion of the game. Technically, you could even count the starting cities right at the beginning of A Realm Reborn to fall under this umbrella. But it's something we've seen time and time again, even back in Heavensward, where at the beginning of an expansion, you can choose to do option A first, then option B, or vice versa. Generally, these branching narrative quest chains are 4 to 9 quests per side before rejoining and continuing the main scenario quests. Narratively, this design choice has helped with building the world and setting up basics for where we're exploring in each expansion, but it has another purpose: to help spread the player base on expansion launch to reduce stress on servers and the like. You actually might remember in Heavensward with the split being between the brothers, in Stormblood with Nargo and Mefrid. For Shadowbringers, it was Alphino and Alisaie, the boys' trip in Endwalker versus the scholarly route, and in Dawntrail, splitting between Kozama Uka and Urko Pacha. A branching narrative isn't new to Final Fantasy XIV. This, however, sounds so much bigger. Once players complete initial expansion onboarding quests, multiple options will open up, allowing players to experience moments of the MSQ in different orders before reconverging later. As it was explained, all players will be in Area A, but then will have the option to go to Area B, C, or D, eventually visiting them all in whatever order they choose, before continuing to the next area where things are potentially more linear again. This choice has no effect on the story's outcome. Whilst it's already been outright confirmed that there will be no major character deaths during these narrative branches and therefore no risk of major spoilers, there's already been concern from some players that this could limit the depth of Evercold's story and prevent certain levels of story development, whilst other players are interpreting this as, instead of having 2 options at the start of the expansion, you'll have 3. The question of, will this cause problems with player leveling and party matching for main scenario content was raised. It makes sense that a player who opted for Area B as their first option will be at an entirely different level to someone who chose Area B for their last zone. This is where auto-content balancing will come in. This will apply to select areas and instance dungeons that are affected by the branching narrative. The slideshow diagram shows a dungeon in each area, B, C, and D, with players from level 103 to 108 across the different zones. All which seems to contribute to the idea that this branching narrative is on a larger scale than we've seen before. The fates, dungeons, and enemy difficulty in the area will be adjusted based on each player's individual current level. The focus is on balancing the opponents and the task at hand rather than players fussing over level syncing. Frustration only known too well if you decide to farm fates for an expansion once you've already leveled your classes and completed the MSQ. The next question raised is in regards to dungeon gear and rewards. So far, dungeon gear has been bound by item level and equipable level, but this too will be changing. We don't have any further information yet, but developers are looking into implementing auto-content balancing in various ways in future content too. Moving on to ever-evolving game design. This section primarily served as a recap, reminding us how we're moving from a daily reward system to a weekly one. A mention of new ways to increase item level culminated into, we'll get more detail in Tokyo. Some of the announcements made during this keynote to me personally feel like they help explain the choice to define a set of an even patch and an odd patch as a season, when it's already how the item level increase cycle works. Whilst a direct connection hasn't been made, the reminder of this choice helped some things to click for me later. With the idea of seasons being brought up, Yoshi wanted to make it very clear that there will be no additional fees, and that seasons is purely a term they are using to differentiate pairs of patches. Evolved mode was only briefly mentioned. Development is apparently continuing smoothly, but the team understands people will be feeling a whole spectrum of emotions, from worried to excited, wondering what will happen to their favourite job. The developers are keen to keep providing up-to-date information, including lots of different programs to explore and detail the new mode for each job. Even if it takes a 4-hour show, they want to cover everything. Once again, we look towards character-focused design and providing players more flexibility. A clarification to the Armory system update, letting us know that you'll still have to level your jobs to cap, but once they're at cap, you can copy your highest item level over to other jobs at the level cap. The ability to copy doesn't apply to gear sub-parameters. For example, materia can't be copied, so there's still incentive for players who want to seek out perfect gear for each class they play. However, this allows for more flexibility leaning on the casual side, to help a friend fill a party, for example, or practicing a fight on another job. At the North American Fanfest, we had a teaser for the character action skins. Players can obtain new animations for various actions as rewards, letting people pursue greater individuality. We'll have options for general actions and job actions, and Yoshi P reminded the crowd that emotes also count as actions, leaving many excited for this new feature. During the keynote, we had animations for teleportation shown off, one light-themed and one more aligned with the void. Both of these honestly look great. I can't wait to see what flair we'll be able to give our characters with these animation options. It was even revealed that animations from job actions that were removed could be brought back with the system. A quick disclaimer from Yoshi P. Please note that changing your character's animation will not affect your DPS, but your emotional DPS will go up. In terms of a release schedule, 8.0 will bring an initial set of action skins for general actions, but patch 8.1 will bring the first set of job action skins. Patch after patch will see more being added. A quick reminder of the new character customization options, such as a color picker for eyes, hair and skin tone, improved customization of eyes and lips, face paint layering, and the ability to toggle select parts of gear quickly became chat about even more being brought from 8.1 onwards. Despite being met by a mildly mixed reception, Lalafell and Viera will have the ability to toggle off their darkened noses. Mikete players seem to have had their clan marks retconned in favour of it being called war paint, which will also be able to be toggled off. Yoshi P talked about how it was his decision in the past to limit character creation based on the rules of the in-game lore, but is now favouring player individuality. Due to lore reasons, the default for these options will be on, but it will be up to the player to choose whether to remove them. Going through the screenshots for the aforementioned changes led to the reveal of something a significant portion of the player base have wanted for a long time. Aura horns will no longer be attached to certain faces, allowing for the ability to mix and match. All of these changes and updates to the character models have been made possible due to the graphical update that started in 7.0. In a moment of banter, Koji Fox asks, "What about the butt slider?" To which Yoshi P simply responds, "Just wait. Shush, shush. It's a secret." This was a fun moment between these two, prompting my stream chat to discuss the synergy Yoshi P and Koji Fox have, making these keynotes all the more interesting. The interaction being a comedic callback to the North American Fanfest where Yoshi P was asked about it.
Freedom, he says. The decision is in my hands, he says. Where's my frickin' butt slider then? The decision...
You remember Anaheim?
I remember Anaheim, the dice game.
The fuck dice game.
Yeah, the fucking dice game.
Just wait.
Wait? Wait?
Just wait.
Wait for...
No gesture.
Wait for the butt slide. Like this.
Secret.
It's a secret. Okay. Okay. We won't tell anyone. But you're good?
時間かかる.
It's gonna take time, but we're good. We're good.
All right, next up.
Next in the slideshow was ever-evolving content. A recap of a few topics with some new information. We knew about public fields being improved, changes to fates, treasure maps, and the hunt had all been brought up previously without too much detail, along with some hope for potentially making the overworld just generally livelier. The main sentiment this time around was discussing how the team are looking at ways to incorporate more exploratory content into underutilized areas to create fun and exciting experiences beyond the realms of instanced areas like Eureka and into regular field areas. It's pretty safe to assume we're not getting a field op zone such as Eureka, Boja, or Occult Crescent for Evercold, but I'm incredibly keen to see how the Overworld overhaul goes. This does potentially raise the question of if field ops will return in the future, but at this point only time will tell. So many players want the overworld to be livelier in a variety of ways. All we can hope for is success on that front for the time being. The working title for the system that's being developed is World Raids, but we've had a note to not get too attached to that name, as it's likely to change. The next section was on the concept of improving quests. During the North American Fanfest, there was a quick mention of wanting to reduce the burden of questing, leading to concerns from some people about what exactly this meant. We got some more info, primarily looking at the idea of optional automatic travel to quest destinations. It was explained that systems like this had been avoided in the past due to the belief that the journey from quest to quest is part of the game's experience. But features such as this aren't particularly uncommon these days. Various changes in Evercold are looking towards aiming to further respect a player's time with the shift to weekly activity, and trying to optionally reduce the time taken in the physical act of questing. This feature won't be fully implemented for the launch of Evercold due to the vast quantity of quests in Final Fantasy XIV, and needing to sort the pathing for it all, But we still got to see a concept screenshot to demonstrate the idea, a guide to show you where you need to go, accompanied with auto movement. Something else on the table for Evolution is battle content. As we already knew, we'll be getting a third difficulty for 8-player raids, an adjustment of progression routes for Alliance raids, and the addition of new types of battle content. We weren't given much more detail and have to wait for Tokyo, but we did get some details for the new difficulty for 8-player raids. 85% of all players complete the normal raids, but when it comes to Savage, it drops significantly, and depending on the fight, ends up at 14 to 20%. There's a difficulty gap, and Savage can require a commitment, either as part of a static or giving it your best shot in Party Finder. The aim here is to try to bridge that gap. In terms of difficulty, the new difficulty is looking to be equivalent to Extreme or slightly easier. Rewards were brought up next, and it's been explained that if you're happy with Savage, you can continue collecting raid gear as you would. You can skip the new difficulty entirely. Those looking to tackle the new difficulty will be granted season gear that they'll be able to upgrade to gradually improve and get it closer to the specs of the Savage gear. When we're closer to the launch, YoshiP will host a live letter to discuss the system in greater detail. The highly anticipated theme for the normal raids was withheld for a tiny bit longer. We were reminded of the regional party matching, including Party Finder. This is a wild quality of life change we've desperately needed since data center travel opened up, and now we have a rough timeline for implementation. Same region player matching will be added to Japanese servers on 12th of October, after a 24-hour maintenance. This is to allow the team to fix any bugs or hiccups, but the plan is to roll this out to other regions as soon as possible. Time for some of the quicker fire updates. Plenty of things we already knew here, such as the level cap increase and that treasure hunts, fates, and the hunt will all be present and updated in Evercold. No further information. We've been shown art for some seemingly gorgeous dungeons, potentially related to the realm ships we saw earlier based on the theming. Plenty of dungeon screenshots followed. Ruins, Frutica Aero, Holmanster Switch, a watery arena surrounded by columns, a screenshot that immediately had me thinking about bosses like Garuda and Barbaricia. More ruins, a cave, and a grand hall. All of these screenshots are beyond beautiful. The next art displayed was job gear. Ninja, warrior, and monk. Into Sage, Pictomancer, and Red Mage. Disciples of Hand and Land were next. I'm not entirely sure if this first one is Leatherworker, but that's my guess for now. Alongside Weaver and Culinarian. Some of these pieces are gorgeous, but others have some people saying that they feel like they've seen it before. Honestly, it must be tough designing outfits for a job identity for so many years. The next art was showing us new creatures, new enemies, new threats. On to something that surprised people we'd be getting more details on. The duty support update. Previously, the possibility of tackling a dungeon as a duo and having NPCs fill the rest of the light party had been announced. They announced something I'm not sure anyone expected, a Chocobo companion overhaul. We knew they had been looking at the Chocobos due to recent updates such as the update to petting Chocobos, but I'm not sure we expected things to be expanded on like this, at this moment in the presentation. Our Chocobos have been there with us for so long without many updates, so 8.1 will mark the start of multiple updates for a much needed overhaul. With this overhaul, your Chocobo will be able to join you in a dungeon. You'll be able to form a light party of you, a friend, and your Chocobos. The team are investigating systems to scale difficulty based on your Chocobo stats, as depending on how they've been raised so far, some Chocobos may be at a disadvantage. Another part of this Chocobo companion overhaul is a complete system overhaul for Chocobo breeding, all featuring a re-examination of the effects and uses of Geisel Greens, and a complete revamp of basic commands. It was discussed how the original system wasn't built with battle in mind, but that changes with the overhaul. Our Chocobo ranks won't be affected and will be carried over. It's time to discuss actual content coming in Evercold, kicking things off with the Alliance raids. North American Fanfest had the near unbelievable announcement that our Evercold Alliance raids are going to be an Evangelion collaboration for the series' 30th anniversary. Actual content of the raid can't be discussed yet, but we got to see a slightly updated trailer featuring a slightly different design for Unit 01. And mention of a special guest artist and designer featured in the collaboration. Mahiro Maeda directed Evangelion Thrice Upon a Time, and has contributed as various roles on many other projects. He'll be involved in several different facets of this collaboration. Now for the 8-player raids, what is the theme going to be? The crowd went wild as One Winged Angel played over the venue. Immediate excitement for Final Fantasy VII themed raids to celebrate the game's 30th anniversary. An official collaboration called Beyond the Livestream Yoshi P called Final Fantasy VII Remake director Naoki Hamaguchi to the stage to discuss the collaboration between the teams. As usual, the raids will have 3 tiers, with the first tier starting in patch 8.01. But this time will feature the 3 difficulties previously discussed. Working on the story for the raids, we have Motomu Toriyama and the Final Fantasy XIV scenario team, with story supervision from Kazushige Nojima and hands-on art design supervision from Tetsuya Nomura. It seems both teams were immediately excited by the idea of this collaboration, really hoping to do both games and both worlds justice. Some parts of the Final Fantasy XIV community are worried with both raid series being explicit collaborations compared to Final Fantasy XIV's usual tie-ins, but I'm keen to see what the team delivers. From the sounds of it, no one involved in this partnership lacks passion or ideas for making this raid series come to fruition. Conversation turned to patch 7.56, releasing on the 8th of September. We're already anticipating the patch as it will include MSQ and Beastmaster, but there was one more thing the developers kept secret from us. Do you remember? A while ago, Yoshi P mentioned a Gold Saucer update, but the team never mentioned it again. Not long after the release of 7.56, we'll be getting a new attraction for the Gold Saucer. Titled Keybound Brawler, the new attraction is a typing game that can be played by up to 4 players. I don't think anyone could have guessed that this would even be a possibility. The attraction will arrive on the 28th of October, to be followed by regular updates. It was even mentioned how Keybound Brawler is the first of some typing challenges the team have lined up. The first theme is Final Fantasy VII, but the foundation and the format will be an easy way to do collaborations in the future, even non-game collaborations. Being asked to review rewards cropped up, which brought Yoshi P to showing in terms of rewards for Keybound Brawler, we'll be first working towards Barret and Tifa glams, plus a Barret gun fashion accessory. It's worth noting that there was no mention of how Keybound Brawler would work for players on controller. Keyboard was continuously mentioned, so it's unclear if the attraction supports controllers, or if you'll need a keyboard as part of your setup to play. If anyone is interested in checking this out, I will be live on Twitch day 1 of Keybound Brawler, 28th of October, seeing how much of a grind it may be to get Tifa's outfit. Reaching towards the end, an exciting announcement is saved for last. Before we get there though, there was a small segment on the Nintendo Switch 2 version. Pre-orders have started, and the release date has been confirmed as August 4th. The team are looking to do a month-long server test, and as such, it serves as a free trial with no cost. However, after that month, there is a separate subscription that has a 50% discount if you have an active subscription on another platform. Again, we were reminded that Nintendo Switch Online is not required for Final Fantasy XIV. Our last announcement of the day. How about ending things on the goodies you get from the collector's bundle of Evercold, featuring stunning box art from Yoshitaka Amano, showing the Warrior of Light as Reaper. Inside the box, you'll receive a variety of physical items. Immediately, you see the incredibly cool Reaper statue, featuring both Scythe and Avatar, a metal keychain in the design of Ethos, which you'll recognise if you're up to date on the main story quests, an adorable mini plushie keychain of one of the new NPC races, the Koto. Next is a mini tapestry that represents the World of the Fourth. The physical collector's edition comes with digital items that will come with the digital collector's edition as well. First up is a mount, Valhalla Odin from Final Fantasy XIII, the entry crystal emote, and a pair of crystal Skiltborg glamour weapons. So, what are your thoughts on these announcements? All I know is that I'm honestly hyped for Evercold, and I'm keen to find out what will be announced at the final Fanfest in Tokyo. I'm honestly really excited.